Welcome back to Watches Tonight. I'm Tim, he's Sequan. This evening we are window shopping our favorite Patek Philippe watches, and these are going to be new ones. We haven't talked about these before. We're also going to chat live. It's going to be a very interactive episode and share your wrist shots tonight on Watches Tonight. While we're warming up, do me a favor, check out Tim_Mosso on Instagram. It's the official Watches Tonight after party. And speaking of the watch that I have not spoken of, I've got a photo of the watch I'm wearing. What are you wearing right now? Let's do a wrist
today,
check.
I'm doing a IWC Portofino Chronograph. I just really love this watch, and I just stole it off somebody's desk to wear it just for you, Tim.
Very cool. I appreciate that. I'm in favor of poaching watches as long as you poach them from us.
Exactly.
All right. Viewer wrist shots number one. I asked, you answered. Dwayne G. pegs the meter right here. He's got his Rolls Royce and Lange und Söhne Richard Lange Tourbillon pour la Marie.
So much.
Okay, Dwayne, you win. That's down in Tennessee, I believe. Tom B. doesn't hold back. He's got a Land Rover, Patek Philippe Calatrava Pilot travel time, looking very good. We got Dr. B. He's back, shows us the extraordinary progress of American watchmaker Dan Reuter rolling in the Bentley Bentayga. Eric H. impresses with one of my all-time favorites from the Miami Vice movie, right?
Which one? The watch?
Right there, 4711.
Yeah.
Two.
Oh, yes, you're right. Actually,
4711.
yes. I love this watch.
And actually, I think Michael Mann put that in there because he's a big Vacheron fan. Also, one of the best values. What would that cost if that were like a 5970? House money.
Insane the value you could get for those pieces right now, and they have such unique character. I love those lugs. It's such a nice meaty watch, even though it's a little more of a dressy piece.
Yeah, the malt lugs.
Yes,
So,
I love it. On that strap too, perfection.
and that takes us back because, you know, we met back in Miami at Watch You Want. We got Assad. This is heartwarming. Father and son. And this is a most Las Vegas shop. And that's exactly where they are. They're in Las Vegas with a Seiko, a Rolex, a Ferrari 296. Now all we need is Courvoisier in a nightclub, and we're good. And then we got Jeff R. of Texas, who reports from Mexico, south of the border here, with his Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. Guys, send your wrist shots and complaints to MondayMailbag at the1916company.com. Okay, the best of Patek Philippe. Welcome back, my man.
Good to be back, Tim. Thank you so much. Feels like I'm home again, you know?
You know, back when I started at Watch You Want, I wrote blogs for them, and I ghost wrote as O.J. Watley. And the people commenting underneath were like my whole world. We didn't get many comments on like a vendor blog. I saw CQ the Watch guy saying nice things about my pros, and that was my very first contact with Sequan in the day. And so we're back, and we're talking Patek Philippe. It's a brand that means a lot to both of us.
Yes.
So let's get started now with one that you consider one of your favorites, 5960-01G. What's going on here?
I love this watch. The 5960 is one of my favorite platforms. The 5960R, probably one of my all-time grails. I love a good calendar watch. I love an annual calendar, and I love how the display is very easy to read. Everything's in these in the apertures. You got your power reserve. You have your chronograph. So complicated watch, but in a nice, usable, very versatile platform. And I love this particular one because it's precious metal. Doesn't look like it. It looks okay on the brown strap, but I think this is such a strap monster. I would go blue, red, even green on this watch and really have fun with it.
Yeah, and it's perhaps the most interesting of the precious metal 5960s because everyone likes the steel models these days.
Yes, yes.
But the original precious metal models, they're a little bit dressy. This is a nice middle ground between the full-blown sports watch steel pieces and the original 5960. So it's got a Calatrava Pilot-style strap, buckle. It's got a bit of a bolder dial. And so many fantastic details here, from that super exclusive clevis-style buckle that you only see on the Pilots.
Yep.
And that's the factory strap. That's not like an aftermarket thing we hooked up. That's how Patek made it.
Yeah, no, it's meant to, like you said, to kind of walk that line between sporty, casual, and I thought it was a really interesting introduction that came out after the steel ones, I believe, as well. So I think it was a good last hurrah for the line, and I love it. And
that's true. It was on the market at the same time as the steel models from 17 to, I want to say, 21. And it's really a cool piece. I mean, power reserve, annual calendar, automatic, flyback chrono. It's got a lot going for it, and, you know, it's a flag that flies forever. That was Patek's first in-house automatic chronograph caliber. Okay, let's check our chat box. This is super live. What do you see there, Sequan?
Somebody asked what was one of our favorites from Dubai Watch Week. Was just ended. We missed you out there, Tim. It was amazing.
No.
Did you have any favorites that stood out to you from the releases?
You know what? I'm going to hold my fire. You were there, so you share this with me because you saw it firsthand.
So there were a lot of great releases. The Debutune kind of 2 really blew me out of the water. I really loved it. Biver had some really great watches, and I've been loving hard on Biver.
Did you get to meet him?
I did get to meet him, and I'm somebody who talks a lot, speechless every time I'm around Mr. Biver and his son Pierre. Really, really awesome people.
And it's not an act. He really is that energetic.
No. He really, I was very fortunate to have a dinner with him back in September, flew out to Switzerland. And he is a ball of energy. The stories don't end. Just ask him about Blancpain, and he goes on forever. And you could see, you can't imagine him in his 30s or 40s leading a team. You would run through a wall many, many times for him, for sure.
And what I find amazing is that he doesn't have to go to these events, these shows, these dinners. This guy's worth 9 figures and doesn't need to ask for money. And yet he's sitting there pounding the table like, Khrushchev with the shoe,
Yes.
like smiling, like in a way that almost requires you wear sunblock.
Yes.
I mean, it's all absolutely authentic. It's not an act. There's some guys who turn it on and off. There is no off with him. I've never seen that side.
No, it's truly, he's just a ball of passion. It is like standing next to the sun that's just irradiating all this great energy. He loves what he does. He loves watchmaking, and he loves moving the whole needle, the whole industry forward. You can see somebody who's a mover of mountains but realizes the weight that he carries, is not afraid to swing it around in a very, very good way.
And the thing with his watches, some people have said, well, maybe they look a little bit austere, maybe they're not as distinctive as they hoped. Look, it's exactly what he wanted it to be.
Yes.
And he didn't make those watches for you, he made those watches for him. Every time you've seen his watches go to auction, it's been vintage pieces, Patek Philippe, high-end brands, rare pieces. It's never like, oceanographic 4,000 meter. Like he appreciates the Hublot era,
Exactly.
but the Hublot maybe isn't the perfect embodiment of him. The watches he's got now are.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think the Hublot era was definitely an expression of what he could do business-wise and how to turn a brand that was a little bit very dormant into a behemoth of a brand that still, as much as you want to hate on him today, still goes and they still sell a lot of watches.
Well, I mean, when he first got a partnership in Hublot, like Carlo Croco, the founder, was like on his way out. The brand was floundering. He built it up to what it is today. People know a lot about the resurrection of Hublot and the resurrection of Blancpain. I think probably his masterpiece was Omega in the 90s.
Yes.
People forget that too. The whole era of the 90s, like the resurrection of Omega, that was Biver.
Yeah, that was Biver pulling together a great team there in Swatch, making things happen, and really look at the watches that were being made and commercially what he was able to do. Really extraordinary things that I don't think many other people would be able to do, because not only does he have the vision, he has energy and he has a tenacity. I don't see him as a person who gives up.
Yeah, like make every single watch a coaxial escapement. Everyone in the industry had the opportunity to license the Daniel escapement. Only Omega did, and that was Biver. That's a great chapter in his history. So we're going to talk about Patek tonight. Jean-Claude Biver's favorite. We talked a little bit about the 5960. This is the 01G in Yes, Virginia. There is a 5960G. It was a Moscow market special edition. I think they made 100 pieces. That's not as sporty as the 01G, which I like better. So, okay. Annual calendar 5036 1G. This is an interesting piece you picked because you don't often see these early annual calendars on bracelets. What drew you to that?
So I love this one because I love the 5036. It's the first annual calendar ever produced by Patek Philippe and anybody in general. So it has a really nice, timeless, classic look to it. But the bracelet I love. I'm a fan of this style of Patek Philippe bracelet in all its different variations. And I think to get it on a 5036, you get the flashiness from the bracelet, but you get a historically important watch as well. And the prices aren't too crazy for what you're getting. So if you're somebody who likes just a classic looking Patek, you got something. If you want something that's a little bit flashy, but you wanna be that watch nerd, you get to do that as well.
A bracelet can take a 37 millimeter watch like this and add a lot of character and presence. Like, it's definitely got a stance on the wrist, and it doesn't need overwhelming size to do it. So it's an unusual thing to see one of these watches on a bracelet because they were generally built on straps. And if you were wondering what is the difference between a 5036 and a 5035, it's really just the moon phase. Yep. So if you want the moon phase, that's the 36. This is the 1G, so it's of course the white gold bracelet version. It's got a very vintage look to it now. And what's funny is, you've got a non-watchmaker's Roman numeral 4. Patek in this era was doing that. Later on, it would be the watchmakers 4, where they basically take the 3 and then they just add another numeral. This is an actual Roman numeral 4, which gives it a weird and sort of dated look that gives it a lot of period character.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought about that. And these are lume fill numerals as well. So it gives it, again, another little touch of character that you don't see every day.
Yeah, definitely. So a good piece. If you don't have a huge wrist, but you want big presence, 5036 on a bracelet, definitely a good way to go. Now, I'm going to talk about my personal UFO because although right now these 90s case sizes are really getting second looks because there are a lot more women entering the hobby, also we're still on the downslope of case size from the 2010s. It's actually a watch from the middle of the 2010s that I am sort of like perplexed by because I haven't seen it. Now, to quote the Blue Oyster Cult, strange shapes light up the night. I never see them, though I wish I might. 5275p. Now, there's a lot going on here, and it's not all obvious. Part of the 2014 175th anniversary collection, this is a platinum watch, but it's a triple jumper. So it's a deadbeat jumping second, minute, and hour watch. All 3 of them jump in full digits. It also chimes on the hour, and every surface of this watch is engraved. The dial is engraved. It's almost too much with the complications, to be totally honest. Almost too much being made of platinum, fully engraved, a chiming triple jump. It's a movement protected by many patents. You can see in profile that it has that incredible banknote or gun style scrolling in profile. 175 pieces seemed like a lot for this sort of thing. And yet here we are now, and we're 11 years on from the release of this watch. I've seen things made in piece unique editions. I've seen Breguets made by Breguet, several Dufours. I have never seen a 5275p. This is like my Moby Dick, the white whale.
Yeah, this is definitely a white whale, because I was thinking in my head, maybe I've seen one at a wholesale show, but maybe...
And you sold Patek for years.
And I sold Patek for years, so yeah, definitely on a boutique level, never saw something like this. This was definitely application piece. Somebody's flying to Switzerland maybe to pick it up. But even in the wild, and we go to so many different shows and so many collectors that we're fortunate to meet, have never seen one of these pieces in the live, and it is amazing. Triple jump regulator style, that engraving on the case and dial is perfection. And definitely a piece, if I saw it, I would spend 30 minutes just, looking at it and fawning over it for a little bit, getting lasered in the memories, because you never know if you'll ever see Moby Dick again.
I mean, this thing right here, Moby has never come my way. This watch, it's about the size of a Santos Large, but without the bracelet. It's not that big. That's the interesting thing about it. And I will even say I've seen every 175th anniversary watch model, including Grandmaster Chime. I have never seen this. I've never even been in the same room as this.
It's a keeper, you get it, you don't let it go.
I imagine that to apply for this, you have to give him a child as collateral.
Probably,
if you sell this watch, we're going to keep
maybe
the kid.
2,
Yeah, at least 5 years. That's the unwritten rule. But a very cool piece. I couldn't even tell you what they sell for. Back in 2022, one auctioned at Phillips for like 600. I think there's one on Chrono right now for over 800. These are all theoretical numbers because I've never seen a recent transaction. Guys, if you got this, please send in a wrist shot.
Oh,
right.
Please do, that'd be dope.
So now, Mr. Donut's asking, what do you think about the 5035 in platinum with the salmon dial? Now we're back to the annual without the moon phase. In platinum? 5035 in platinum.
I've seen that pop up a few times, and I think it's a beautiful salmon dial. As you know, I'm a 5035 fan, and it's an annual calendar fan in general. So I think it's a great watch to have that's unique. You're not going to see many of the salmon dials out there in the wild, but again, it's a nice piece of horological history with Patek with being the first annual calendar produced, and it's just a beautiful looking watch, So I have no complaints on that.
I would say it's probably the best 5035, to be perfectly honest. I don't think there's a 5036 in platinum. I think there's I want to say like a 5056 that's basically that watch. But
yes.
I would say if you want the king of like the 5035s, yeah, that's probably it. And I would even guess that like the really old ones might have tritium dials. So
ooh, perhaps.
If that's the case, then I mean, there's your dial of the 90s right there.
Get your Giga counter out.
Okay, so we got some friends in the box. Miroslav from Europe. We got Russell. We have watch enthusiast Abdul from Germany, Edward Ledden from Sweden. Curtis is in the box, a good old friend from San Diego where they have fair weather and pugs. Jason46 wearing his Patek Philippe 6000G Calatrava tonight. You know I love that one. Hop Hayes. And questions, because Hot Pace is from Indy asking, have either of us been to the 500? No, but we'd love to.
No, but I'll go with you any day. That'd be a good time, actually.
I've sold the Indy 500 Jorn, but it's not nearly as interesting to me as the cars and the track.
No, not as fun, that's for sure.
Jim Millet's in the box, our friend from the UK, and really, along with TAC, one of the two pillars of our British group. More on that in a moment. We got weed and watches. Those are depths which we have not probed yet. Wearing his green, appropriately, Octo Roto on green. And then we have B73. What do you think of the set of 4 Breguet numerals and hands on the 3970s? I would say every 3970 is a classic, but at the end of the day, I mean, they're kind of cool. If you like them, they're great. If not, find a different version. Like for me, I'm a little bit more oriented towards the 5016s in that era with the same 36mm case. I think those are perfect, and those often have the Breguet numerals. So that aesthetic really works for me, but it doesn't work for all. And again, I think this is going to hinge more on the size of the watch than on the dial, because they're small. Like you can have too big a wrist for those. Yeah,
that's the thing. It is a little bit of a smaller watch. You have to like the platform. I like a good Breguet numerals. I won't lie to you, but you know, it all depends on the watch and how it feels on it. But I'll give a vote for Breguet numerals. Why not?
Okay, definitely look good. They can't hurt. That's the thing. Exactly. Breguet numerals on a Patek. That's a great look.
It's a win.
Okay, we've got Tawana Sharif joining in from Abu Dhabi, staying up properly late to be with us, and I appreciate that. Moto Gunner from Athens, Georgia, wearing his Christopher Ward 12 today. And we've got Thomas Burnett cheering the arrival of Mr. Geezer. We're happy to have them both. And we got Barrel Bomb joining in where it's 8:10, or it was. We got IMK joining in from Germany, staying up late in continental Europe. Welcome to one and all. We got Barrel Bomb 2928 actually joining in early in the day from Melbourne. We definitely appreciate our Pacific Rim fans. Okay, viewers shots number 2, TAC. We talked about the 2 pillars of our British Talking Time with Tim Mosso Facebook group sub-squad. It is an elite unit. TAC and Jim, they get together, they put things together in the Shires, and they created this set of Talking Time with Tim Mosso Facebook group shirts. Right there we have TAC with his sons Lucas and Oliver. We understand they're all fans of the show, and we're fans of you. The crest actually includes the one and only, here you can actually see our regal coat of arms. And right here you get a better view of the logo that's actually on the shirts. And you can see it features a pretty good image of the one and only Squash.
Oh, I love this.
Who is our group mascot.
Oh, what's up, Squash?
We salute you, Squash.
Oh, I need some shirts, man. Let me get a 2X. I love that.
You know, the thing is, they're over in Britain. We got to get them to send a few. We are not good men.
I love the coat of arms. This is awesome.
Squash on par with a gun, a rooster, a knot, and a lion. Yes. All right. So Joseph P., a good old friend and a former collector conversation. Actually, we've done 2 installments. He's out on the town down in Florida with his Rolex Submariner No Date and Porsche Panamera. Joseph, we salute you too. Jeff S. showcases the range of his vast and ever-growing collection with the legendary Seiko Sportura with kinetic winding. I think Jay Leno has the most famous one of those. Bob M. of Cleveland hits the streets with his Geo Vintage 70s Chronograph Pano Date. Why doesn't everyone own one of these? And
that's what I say.
Like, instead of a Nautilus 5980, just get that.
And they come in so many different colors and strap variations as well. Such a fun watch. Great bang for your buck piece. I think everyone should have one in the collection.
Yeah, this was almost too early. This came on the market, I want to say, back in like 2014, and the market wasn't interested in an integrated bracelet, steel, 70s style sports watch back then.
Not at all. But this was launched like this year or last year, I think. It gets a little bit of...
Yeah, they always get a new dial every year, which is great because it gives you choice. Guys, that's where the smart money goes. Okay, so we got Richard G., who heads to rugged country in Oregon with his combination of G-Shock's GA 2100s, so Cassioaks, and his Jeep Wrangler. And Josh P. takes rugged even further with Gil Hibben Custom Blade and Rolex Submariner. Razor sharp in both cases. All right, guys. Send your wrist shots to Monday Mailbag at the1916company.com or at thewatchbox.com if you prefer vintage. I would say watch you want, but I don't think that redirect still works.
Yeah, I don't know if that works anymore. I still got some swag. The rooster lives somewhere.
You know, we have the rooster on the Talking Time with Tim Mosso.
Exactly.
Like, we didn't even intend it that way, but it's like a watch you want, like salute. Okay, the hits keep coming. Sequan has thoughts about a watch that seems to have put Patek back in a lot of dress watch shopping lists. Calatrava 6119G.
The 6119G, I think to me, is such a gorgeous watch. It is so versatile. It's such a strap monster. I have not seen this watch on a wrist that I don't like. I think the dial plays in the light so well. It goes from a deep charcoal to a light gray, depending on how the light hits it, and it looks good on pretty much every strap. And I tell people, if you're just looking for one Patek, one time only Calatrava that can do anything, you can take it anywhere. The 6119G is a great watch. You get this and 5 different straps is the only watch you need.
Yeah, I really agree with that, because I would say in the past, this replaced, in 2021, this replaced the 5119, which was not as versatile a watch.
Oh.
This is very formal. This is very traditional. I don't love the disparity between the movement size and the case size, and you can see that the 215 Petite Seconde here, even in a smallish case, it does look a little bit undersized, but with the newer 6119, it felt like a revolution, because now we've got not only a great looking watch with a more nuanced dial, but we've got a movement that was designed for this 39mm case size.
Yeah, I thought it was a perfect step up. I sold a ton of 5119s, and they're great watches, but they're dated. They're very, very classic. You got to wear it to a buttoned up type of affair. When I saw the 6119 come out, I was surprised that they went in such a modern, almost casual, dial. I love it.
Yeah, I would say that the 5119 is like black tie, and this is more like a sport jacket and a button-up shirt with the top button undone.
Exactly.
You can wear this all the time. Also important, it's only 8.3 millimeters thick. And it's a great looking watch. I think where this really soars is when you compare it to the competition. Now, Vacheron's very strong in dress watches, but look at what AP's, AP, the thickness of the codes, it's a great watch, and people who see it tend to like it, but look at the bulk of this, 41 by 10.8. That has the size of a sports watch on the wrist compared to the Calatrava. This feels like, how could these things be competitors in the marketplace? I don't think they can.
They aren't, in my opinion. The 6119 is so different in feel from a code. Codes are great watches, but because they wanted to give all the tribute to the Royal Oak, they left it a fatty. They needed that mid case to have some meat on it to really show what they're trying to show. But to me, the thinness of a 6119 with that dial, you get this great versatile piece that you don't have to struggle to wear or struggle to get under your cuff. Where the code sometimes, it's a thicker watch.
And it's a very cylindrical case. It's not super thick, but because it's so vertical and sheer, it gets hung up. And also, do we need automatic winding dress watches? I feel like AP really missed there.
That's a great point. In my opinion, you don't, but not everybody's a little different. But it would have been nice to see maybe a code light, a code 1130 that was half the size.
Or a code ultra thin. Can we make it a more elegant, smaller, thinner watch?
Or how about we just bring back the Jules Audemars line? I know nobody wants to think about it anymore.
I just had the Stade Classic Chronograph, and I was thinking, I can't believe AP had a chronograph dress watch this good looking 14 years ago.
I remember when that watch first came out, I loved the shot piece. I don't know. Let's not get me started on AP.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. AP, you do a lot that we love just on this Patek owned you.
Yes.
Okay, movement size. Let's take a look at the movement here, because I mentioned it's designed for this case size. This is a big twin barrel 65-hour movement. It's got hacking. It's got 6 position. It's accurate to, I think, -1 +2 now is what they're rating this. This is a great looking movement. The broader Côte de Genève at diagonal to the case orientation looks great.
Yeah, I think it's really great finishing on this movement. Like you said, it fills up the case, so it's much more different to look at this versus your 5119. And I think they really took their time with this watch, in my opinion, and the execution from A to Z, perfect. 30+ millimeter movement and still very thin. Well done, Patek. I would also say, okay, this is 40,971 in white gold, but you do have pre-owned options now, because this has been on the market for 4 years. You can probably get into one of these for like 26 to 27 if you shop around. All day. I think the one that we have now is around 29. If you shop around, definitely can find it closer, depending on condition, box and papers, etc., anywhere between that 26 and 29 range, which I think is a great price point for a really nice Patek Calatrava that's not a 20-year-old piece, 30-year-old piece, a very modern watch that you will not in my opinion, find a hurdle to wearing on a daily basis if you want to.
Yeah, a really cool piece. And it does come in rose gold too, if you want that. It's also available in rose gold. Okay, we got questions from the field. By the way, we got a little comment right here from Watch Addict CQ, my guy, back fresh from Dubai.
What's up, Watch
Legend.
Addict? Yes, sir.
And what else do we have going on here in the box from Luis? We have a question. What would be a good compliment to a 3 Patek collection? I currently have a 5711 and a 5935A. So he's got a 5711 and he's got the World Time Chrono in steel. He wants a third piece that we'd recommend for under 50 grand. I know what I would add. I would add the 5100. But we'll get to that. What do you think? I would add the Manta Ray. I think you can get that for under 50 easily.
Yeah, the Manta Ray would be good. I like 6119G or a Gondolo Calendario. I wouldn't mind. You can find those white gold, rose gold, all variations probably under 50, maybe the platinum's a little bit more. Nice cushion case watch, annual calendar with the apertures. You guys know I love that. And a watch that a lot of people still don't really know about because there's a very short production run.
5035, right?
5035 is
5135.
5135 is a reference on that. And again, you can find it in white gold, rose gold, and platinum. Rose gold blacked out is the best in my opinion, but even the white gold silvered out is a nice fun piece that you don't see every day.
And it's a buyer's market because it was in production for a long time, and also being a form watch that's also a dress watch, it's a smaller buyer pool. So really, you shop around that. That's a great value in modern Patek.
I think so.
You do need the wrist for it, but it's a great value in modern Patek. Okay, Chronograph 5172G. This is one of yours, and I actually think that they nailed this. Okay, so the 2019 release, I think Patek learned a lesson from the launch of the 2010 5170J, which was super duper conservative. Yes. One might even say too conservative. It wasn't bad, it was just that tastes had moved on. By 2010, silver dial, Roman numerals, stick indices, yellow gold was not the strongest way to launch their new in-house chronograph movement. And I really have to say the 5170 became more appealing over time with various white gold, Breguet numeral variants. And with such stunning movement detail, I wish it had gotten more recognition from the beginning, because that's fantastic. That's longer rivaling. But what Patek did with the 5172, right from the beginning, they gave people what they wanted. 41 millimeters, white gold, luminescent dial, Arabic numerals. 5172 chronograph launched in the best version first, and I think it really served it better.
Like you said, best version first. I love this watch. When I first held it in my hands, to see the step lugs, the case, injector style, minute and hour hands, you flip it over, you have that gorgeous movement that you can honestly stare at all day. They put it on a suede strap, and to me it was a perfect progression of their chronographs, because everything like the 5170s, a little bit more dressy, a little bit more conservative. This was a watch that pays all the tribute that you want to the heritage of Patek, but it's a watch that's meant to be worn. You want to have fun with it. It's a super versatile piece, and the price point that you get it compared to retail on the secondary market, I think is amazing these days for a beautiful watch that will really stand out in any collection.
Yeah, if you are that new watch only guy, it's about 106,000, but low 60s, high 50s, you can get into one of these blue dial.
All day. Beautiful watch.
And a great watch too, because like Siquan said, there's a lot to love with those triple tiered lugs. And then what he called the injector type hands. It's an interesting way. I always called them syringe, but it works both ways.
Yeah.
I think we can both agree it's not the turkey baster.
Exactly. And even on the pushers, you have a little bit engraving on the pushers. So they put a lot of different details into this watch, which on other variations of chronos they left out.
Oh yeah, it's got kind of like the Tasti Tondi like turbine profile on the pushers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just love the little touches there. It's a great watch.
Also, I think this wears the unique architecture of the 29-535 movement better, because you can more clearly see that the registers are dropped below the hands on this watch than on the 5170. So great watch all around. Of course, there is a salmon dial version, which I think sort of stole the show. I want to say that came out in like 2022. That's a really great looking watch. I don't think one is better than the other. I do think this is going to give people maybe a more classical aesthetic that's still got a lot of warmth. It's not as cold as a silver dial.
Exactly. It gives you a little bit of warmth. It's hard to pick one over the other. I lean a little bit more towards the blue because there's so many great salmon dial pieces that you could go for. And that blue is just super wearable, super versatile. It's a beautiful, bright color, but it doesn't yellow across the room, which is salmon might be a little bit more out there. So I think you flip a coin, either one is going to feel
Yeah, this definitely invites more attention. There's no question there. Now, watch that came up earlier, Manta Ray 5100. Before we jump into that, let's take a look at the chat box, see what's going on here. All right, Sean Hansen saying, love these Pateks today. Good to see you, Sean. I'm actually wearing the shirt from that day we were both in the boutique.
Cool shirt.
I'm not going to get myself in trouble here. We got Neil B saying 5500P is a seldom talked about killer rectangular watch. I want to say that's like the Torifel, I think. And then we've got Moto Gunner saying this is one of my all-time favorite chronos, especially the blue dial. And Junior Johnson's in the box. We're happy to have him. Ben 10 is in the box. And we got Soma R joining us from Europe, and we're happy to have him as well. Jason's 46, welcome to the chat. Randy's, or Randy S, welcome. And Edward Ledden saying the Jules Audemars Classic is something else. Agreed. Again, it's very hard to realize AP had such a great looking dress chronograph, and that could have been the template for like their next generation. Make it a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner, manual wind. Nope. Codes.
Yeah, like when you look at that piece, the price point that we have at now, it's insane. Such a great watch. You got titanium, you got a little bit of rose gold on there. And like you said, that could have been the start of a really nice collection. You know, they didn't have to go 20 references. They're going to give you like 3 or 4, but no, we just don't even talk about that watch anymore. I dare you to probably find it on the AP website. You'd have to like hack the site a little bit to find those old pieces, but you know,
there was an Audemars Piguet US, I think it was like the US CEO or US Vice President, and I was with him like right before the launch of the codes, and I was saying to him, you know, I know you guys are about to relaunch your dress watch line, but doesn't it make sense to take a look at the most requested dress watch in the world right now, which is the FP Journe Chronomètre Bleu? You guys were working with tantalum back in the 1980s. You have every right to use it without being accused of, you know, copying Journe by any means. Why not just create a thin, elegant, 39mm manual wind tantalum dress watch with the Tuscan dial, which again is AP's own design, an own thing, and predates Journe? Call it a day. And he's sitting there like, it's almost like he could see the train wreck from The Fugitive approaching, and he's like, why didn't we think of that?
I just imagine.
It's like, it's too late now.
I just imagine there's so many great watches like that. They're just locked away in an R&D vault somewhere. It's like, release the watches, please.
It's like you could have combined 2 things you were already doing 30 years ago and had a hit.
Exactly, you know, and they've done so much. And like you said, they could have went back and they could make pretty much anything, and nobody can say, oh, you're copying us or you're trying to steal our style. But we got the code, so
we like the code. I just don't know that I love the code. Although the Star Wheel's very cool.
Yeah, Star
By the way,
Wheel's
wrist check. I'm wearing my DBD. You guys know this watch well. All right, jumping back into our regularly scheduled program now. Manta Ray 5100. And this was a millennial reference in the sense that it came out in the year 2000. It even says so on the back. Y2K bug, and that bug was a Manta Ray. It's actually based on the historic 2554, and the new watch leans into the Manta design a little bit more forcefully than that one did. These were incredible watches. So they were COSC chronometers, and look at that platinum piece. Oh my God. So good. But the movements were epic, and the movements were built for the case. You could see sized and shaped and profiled, even beveled at the corners. Great calibers. They were actually chronometers from back when Patek was still certifying COSC chronometers. 10-day power reserve, 2 barrels, Geneva seal, purpose-built for this application, and a springboard to the movement in the later 10-day 5101 10-day tourbillon. 4 models, of course, we can go back to those 4 right there, but we had yellow, rose, white gold, and then platinum. And they were made respectively in 1500, 750, 450, and 300. You know, yellow, rose, white, gold, platinum. Platinum models, they look almost evil. Like, that's a great look. That's like something the devil would wear. Like, suave and powerful, quietly megalomaniacal. Like, that's not something like, that's not a clergyman's watch. I think we can put it that way. For what it is, the aftermarket prices are reasonable. We had a question about what you'd buy to, you know, complement a 5935A and a 5711. If you're going to have a 3-watch collection, you can do a whole lot worse than this. This has got a lot to recommend it. Very cool. It's a complication. It's a limited edition. Even at the top of the market, I mean, look, you can own all 4 of them for like $250,000. Shop around a little bit, you could probably buy them individually for less.
Yeah, for sure. And I love these watches. Nice, aggressive case, and a lot of great variations to choose from as well. Great movement. Love that it's a 10-day power reserve for a manual wand. Very well finished. And I don't know. It's nice. It's aggressive in the best way. I can see the El Diablo with the all black on the platinum piece. Something you don't see every day, but something that is intrinsically Patek. You know, something that gives you a piece of the brand, but not everybody knows what's going on, which I love.
Yeah, it's not what Al Pacino didn't wear this in The Devil's Advocate, but he should have.
That'd be great.
Yeah, if we can rewrite history, if this is a sequel someday, that'd be the watch. All right, in the box here. You know, they are sometimes called devil rays after all of those mantas. We have Ben 10 saying, I want a tantalum dial from Sartori Biard.
Great
So do
watches. Great watches.
We have Ben 10 also saying, I love the Piaget Polo, but I wouldn't compare them to the Aquanaut. That's true, but I would compare the Upstream to the Aquanaut in quality.
Oh yeah, well the Upstream, yeah, definitely quality. Upstream is a great watch as well. I wouldn't put the Polo in there. Great watch. I wouldn't put it up next to the Aquanaut.
Not the current version of it anyway. Okay, now we're jumping back into our regularly scheduled program with wrist shots. Jan Andretti leads off with the special Oster Jewelers edition of the Armin Strom Equal Force, a great piece. Rare use of a motor barrel in a wristwatch. Ben 10, he's in the box now, he's on your screen, gets top billing with a rare Audemars Piguet Edouard Piguet chronograph. We were talking about how much we love the old AP dress watches. This is one.
Great watch, not going to see this everywhere. Great character. These are, and probably was a steal for him if you picked it up on the secondary market. I love the Edouard Piguet line. Just nice, fun watches, man.
Holy Trinity for like new steel Rolex Daytona money, maybe even less.
Yeah. Less all day.
Amir D of Vancouver, Canada joins us with a watch we haven't seen before, Oceanus P2000B. We love all kinds right here, looking out over the bay. We got Kyle A, who shares his Tudor Pelagos unit customized dive watch. Look at the dial logo. And then we got Ransom the puppy, 5 months old. Very cute.
Oh, yeah, love the puppy.
Squash is our mascot, but Ransom, you're welcome anytime. Mike C and Miss C present an all Cartier Santos, his and hers, as Cartier's reputation surges. Spencer C and his Breguet Marine Scale, Mount Sulphur in Banff, Canada. Guys, keep them coming. Monday mailbag at the1916company.com. Okay, now a few for our ladies and also for men who appreciate traditional sizes. We have far more women in the hobby these days, so we're going to talk about a few pieces that are maybe best suited to a really petite wrist, starting with the 4910 10A. This is actually part of the Ladies 24 collection.
Yeah, so the original Ladies 24, I love this watch. So funny that I picked this watch last night to do the show today, and one of my friends in the collective group is he's fighting for one in the auction right now. He's like, is this a good watch? I'm like, this is the perfect watch for your lady if she's into watches, if she's not into watches. It wears like jewelry, it wears like a bracelet. It's a Patek. You can get these under 11,000 all day long without boxing papers. You can probably find some for around 8,000 or 9,000. Beautiful watches. And when I started in the industry, this was the watch that if you were a dealer, your wife had a 24, whether it be in white, gold, steel, or
and for many
yellow.
years, this was the best single reference. This was the best-selling single reference in Patek's catalog.
All day. Just about what dial color you're looking for. It looks great once you get it sized. It's always perfect on any wrist. And I think we're getting into holiday season. You're thinking of something nice to get for your lady. You don't know what to do, but you want it to be a watch. You really cannot go wrong with a Patek 24. I don't think you can.
Yeah, in the early days of putting diamonds on steel watches, it was basically just a two-horse show. Technotime and Patek Philippe.
Yeah.
And this one stood the test of time a little bit better. Be surprised that the price of entry can be this low. Now, I did a little survey of the market and I found a bunch of pieces with box and paper, so you're going to pay a bit more than Sequan was saying. But if you want a fully intact set, look, you're still just talking $10,000 and you're into Holy Trinity now for your girl.
Exactly. Not crazy prices at all for a nice full set, big, beautiful box, and just gorgeous. You got to find a dial that you like, but I think it's an amazing watch, and again, I've never seen it on a wrist where it doesn't look good.
And you might be a woman buying for yourself, and in which case, treat yourself. This is a great watch. This is every millimeter a Patek Philippe. And I think we even have a picture of the movement, the E15 quartz that goes in that. But it is a genuine Patek Philippe made in-house quartz caliber, and where they can, they do apply hand finishing, so it's a very credible movement. And 3-year power reserve, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, Calatrava 5022. Now this is a men's watch from 1997, but it wears beautifully on many wrists. Under 40 millimeters lug to lug, only 6.8 millimeters thick. You look, the fit is awesome on my wrist right here, and it's got a lot of presence. If we can go back one step and take another look at that dial, one of the most appealing features of these is that they often include exquisitely hand guilloche dials. And I feel like for a lathe guilloche dial with Patek Philippe imprimatur on the dial and Geneva hallmark manual wind in the case, this is really special. Fit is awesome, flat, epic elegance, wears great on any wrist. A vintage aesthetic to be sure, at 33 millimeters, it's not for everyone. Caliber 215 is manual wind and it's very legit. This is as good as it gets. It's, yes, 3 hands, a very basic watch, but it's every inch a Patek.
This is a gorgeous watch. I didn't see this, that we even had this available, but the guilloche on this watch is amazing, going out to that beautiful silver outer rim on the dial. I think it's perfect. At 33, it's a little bit smaller, but I don't think this would be a bad his or hers watch, right? If you want to sneak in, you want to buy it.
If you want a dual use watch, 100%.
I think it fits perfectly. You do have that vintage aesthetic, but the colors, the feel of this watch, nothing else right now will give you that in Patek family, and I think for the price point, this is an amazing pickup.
Okay, so also important to note, we got some comments here. Curtis is saying that his Patek Philippe Gondolo 5124G is still the dream, and I definitely appreciate that. By the way, these are not all watches we have in stock. I know Siquan comes from the sales floor. He tends to think in terms of inventory. We're just picking watches we like. In my case, we're picking a lot of watches that we don't have in stock. You know, the Manta Ray, the 5275, the 5022. So, you know, we're coming from... I'm the marketing guy. I get to, you know, pontificate about angels on a pin and other medieval Renaissance era like scholasticism. All right, what else is going on in the box? We have a comment. Thamal Hut is the watch that impressed me most this year. I voted prodigiously for that in the LV Watch Prize, so hopefully something will happen on that front. I put my fist on the scale to the extent I could. For the Mobius, oh my God.
Yeah, that's a sick watch.
That's the real deal. I think that might be the watch of the year, to be perfectly honest.
I think so. It's a tight race, but I like that watch so much. I've seen so many pictures. I got a chance to handle it up close, and amazing watchmaking, and way to think outside of the box, especially in this day and age where every watch that is being introduced gives you Breguet vibes and very classical. We don't want to go too outside the box because we want to sell our watches. It's great to see watchmakers doing something that is so out there that, hey, it might fall flat, but if you take a chance, you get a watch like that everybody loves.
And it's a lot of complication for the money. It's nicely made. It's from outside of Switzerland. Super special. Definitely look up the Thamal Hut Mobius. Okay, furthermore, I think we should talk about markets for the 5022, because, you know, we talk about a ladies 24, and, you know, some guys are going to be like, well, okay, but that's not on my shopping list. Well, here is something that proves for only a little bit more money, you can get a men's precious metal, Geneva hallmark, mechanical, guilloche dial, Calatrava, and you can get it for about $15,000. Bargain a little bit, you can get it for less. Now, I like the white gold with the black and white dial. I think that's the most dramatic look, but all of these, from the salmon dial to the gold to the white lacquer, are very, very special. This is a lot of value for a watch that's, you know, full box and papers.
Yeah, I think it's actually amazing. And this is at this price point, if you're a collector who likes to complete sets, this would be a great set to hunt and complete. I think they're really fun watches. That salmon one that they have in Hong Kong there is really just poking out to me. But I can see that gold dial being worn. I can see the white dial, rose gold, white dial. I think that's white gold there being worn as well. These are all beautiful watches. That salmon dial would probably be one that I could, you know, I don't often go under 36 millimeters, but I think I would attempt a 33 for that salmon.
Yeah, 23, 24,000, by the way, Siquan, you get this with a bracelet, full precious metal.
Oh, now you're talking.
So now it's even going to hold up on a bigger wrist when you add the bracelet. You're still in the low $20,000 range.
Putting that on the list.
Okay, now I think we're going to focus on the fact that we have more and more women who are watch collectors. They're not just looking for one good watch. They're actually assembling a collection. And a lot of times people start to build up a collection and they start thinking, well, you know, how do I get started in complications? And I think it's a little bit harder if you have a small wrist. You don't have as many choices because many modern complicated watches are big. Here's one that's not. 5059 perpetual calendar. Full-blown Patek Philippe retrograde perpetual calendar, automatic, a lot to love. Officer's case, retrograde date, perpetual calendar, moon phase, hunter case back, just like a classic officer's watch, so it folds open, which is very, very cool. 36 millimeters. Now we're looking at an epic fit, a very traditional style, a watch that's only 44.6 lug to lug. And here's the thing, I've always thought that yellow gold works best with something that is smaller and a little bit vintage. And this is both, as this is a late 1990s reference. I would actually prefer this in yellow gold than any other metal.
I think so. I think the yellow gold with the white dial gives you beautiful contrast. I think this is a bit of a strap monster as well, and you could put many different straps on it. So I could see a female collector having lots of fun with this watch and a variation of colors. Gives you all you could want from a complicated Patek in a unique style as well with the retrograde display. And I think the gold with the white dial with the vintage aesthetic, it hits the nail on the head. If you want something, you know, a little bit out there, but still, again, within the lines of traditional Patek Philippe.
And another watch that you can share when you have two watch collectors in the family, this is a he-she watch. They're both going to wear it well. It's not too big. You can see my wrist is tiny, and there's still no problem fitting that. Prices for these are probably more robust than you think. But that's because supply is low. There's not a lot of these for sale, particularly if you want one particular variant. You're going to find that I'd say it's balanced between buyers and sellers. This is not something so common that you're going to be exhausted by the number of sellers. And it is important to shop around and find a good seller and a well-preserved example, because there's nothing worse than an over-polished precious metal watch. But I think if you buy a good one, you've got something that's a better bet to hold its value long-term and maybe even gain a little bit than some of the other smaller size watches we've discussed here.
Yeah, for sure. I think this falls into the category that a lot of neo-vintage brigades fall into, where a lot of people weren't looking for them, but the sharp, smart money started to collect these watches, and they're keeping them. There's really people who collect those watches don't really cycle through watches every few years. They go into a collection, they might say 10, 15 years. So that's why we're to this point where even a watch like that you feel like, oh man, I could scoop these up with a shovel, you're only seeing 4 or 5 in Chrono 24 at one time. Because once they go into a collection, they kind of stay there for a long time.
Yeah, it's not a watch that people trade at high frequency, because people tend to like them.
Yeah.
That's sort of how it is with the 5275P, but that's an $800,000 watch. You can have that same kind of staying power with something under 50,000.
Sure.
Okay, viewer wrist shots number 4. Raymond A hits the road and the town with his Panerai PAM 779 and AMG Mercedes. We got Saul C, who delights with his colorful Ming 57.04 from a high-rise in Miami. Watch you want, represent.
Yeah, this is a nice shot like this.
Shout out OJ and Josh Thanos.
Juice.
Andrew D of upstate New York rolls with his BMW X5 M50i and Moser Pioneer CS Red. Well, we love our extended Moser family and car enthusiasts. Alvin A reports from Singapore and his kitchen with the Vacheron 56 self-winding blue dial. Calvin D and his Formex Essence 39 go dune buggy driving at Peru's Huachina Oasis. And then Abdul R of Germany is in Prague at the Microbrand Fair with his handsome Lyrique on Stingray leather. Send your wrist shots to Monday Mailbag at the1916company.com to see your pieces on these pixels. Sequan, now that you're back, how can people find you online?
They can find me at CQ at the1916company.com if you want to shoot me an email. On Instagram, CQ_the watch guy. You can shoot me a WhatsApp or text at 484-926-8762.
And salute to Ethan, who's on the switcher tonight. He did a great job.
Amazing.
Thanks to you for making the best job in watches possible. And until next time, time out.